I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be, sometimes walking away is the best thing that you can do. This particular email, we're going to talk about breakups. I got an email here from a guy who broke up with his fiance last year, I guess apparently after he had gotten over a serious illness. And the thing that I want to point out, which I think is a great topic to talk about, is that a lot of guys miss the little subtle things that communicate that your girlfriend or your wife or your fiance in this particular case is slowly losing interest in you over time. Now, something I talk about extensively in my book is that a lot of women, when they know things aren't going well, or maybe they start to fear that things aren't going to work out with you and her long term, what they start doing is they start looking around for a replacement and lining up somebody else to take your place when she finally decides to do you in. And sometimes these particular women will kind of blur the line between cheating or just hanging out as just friends with some guy that they know. And they tell themselves, or they rationalize, hey, there's no kissing, there's no touching going on, so technically it's not cheating, when in reality what they're doing is they're lining this guy up. And if something happens to happen when she's on one of these, well, he's just a friend kind of dates, then, as she starts to fall for this guy, she stays around or sticks with you until she really doesn't feel anything for you anymore. And then you think everything's fine, and all of a sudden she ends up dumping you. And while you're still scratching your head, licking your wounds, you find out she's all over some other dude. And you're thinking, well, this just, what the fuck? You just broke up with me, and now you're already with some other guy, sleeping with some other dude. And it's just some women are very cut and dry. They won't date another guy or go out with, just as a friend, another guy until she's into their relationship. But a lot of women just don't like to go it alone on their own, and so they want to get a replacement lined up because they know it's a lot easier emotionally to move past a breakup when you got somebody to rebound with, basically. And I think that is what has happened here to this guy that wrote this email in here. So let me go through his email. He says, first of all, I will never be able to repay you for the information I've learned in your book. At this point, I've read it 12 times, and I learned something new each time, so thank you. Well, you can feel free to hit the PayPal donate button anytime you feel I've added significant value to your life, and donate whatever you feel it's worth. So here's my problem. I met a woman 4.5 years ago, and as you said in your book, I did everything right when she fell in love with me. We were to be married in November of this past year. 3 months before the wedding, I became really ill. Big mistake in my life was when I became ill, I just wanted to be alone. I do not like to be mothered, so I put my girlfriend on the back burner. Well, that's a bad move because you basically made her feel like she really wasn't that important to you. And that's typically what us guys tend to do. We tend to withdraw into the bat cave so we can figure out what our solution is or our course of action. And a lot of women, or I should say women that don't understand this part about men, don't know that when we need to go in the back cave, it's just we need to think about things and come up with a solution on our own, because women that don't understand this think that men resolve problems the same way that they do, which is women resolve their problems just by talking about them with their girlfriends, and then through talking about it, they eventually come to a conclusion internally what they need to do. Whereas us guys, we tend to hold things in, contemplate on it, stew about it for a few days, weigh our options, and then make our decision. And so, for us guys, this is just a natural thing. But, when you're in a situation where you're feeling ill and your girlfriend or your wife or your fiance is going to want to spend more time with you and take care of you and love you, and you shouldn't push her away like that, but you should explain to her what's going on. But it sounds like you just pushed her away altogether and dealt with your illness and figure, okay, well, we'll just pick up right where we left off once I get healthy again. And what you're actually doing is just building emotional walls between you and her. He says, we live, let's see, I noticed all the signs that she was losing interest and tried to explain to her that I would get better, but sex went downhill. We had a wonderful sex life up to that point, up to the point he got ill. By the time I got well, she broke off the wedding and is now seeing a new guy she's been seeing for 3 months. Well, that tells me that was pretty damn fast. So more than likely she knew this guy or had been talking to this guy long before she broke up with you. And so it sounds like emotionally her emotions were getting engaged with this new guy as her interest level in you was dropping. So we live in a very small town, and she lives right across the street from me. During that time, I did everything wrong. I begged her to come back, said some nasty things to her. She said some nasty things to me, etc. I'm still very much in love with her, but I finally had enough emotional abuse that I just walked away. Since I walked away, she does small things to get my attention, but is still seeing this guy that she told me was just for sex. That was a month ago. I know what your book says about interest level, but I don't know what hers is since I have not spoken to her in a while. Well, the bottom line is women vote with their feet, and she's obviously not with you, so it means that she voted for somebody else. And so I would say her interest level in you is pretty low. I mean, you haven't talked to her in a month, so she's obviously having a good time with this other dude. And he says, I have no trouble getting interest from other women, so that's good. So you should focus on this attention you're getting from other ladies, and that will give you some cannon fodder, so to speak, to practice what I teach in my book, so you can get better and you can hone your skills, help you attract a good woman, and obviously somebody that'll start ringing your bell, because your ex-girlfriend's definitely getting her bell rung by this other guy. And so in the meantime, while she's having fun frolicking around with him, just hooking up for sex, you can be hooking up, doing the same thing, honing your skills, getting better. And so if she does contact you, if she realizes there's really no future in this relationship or this fling that she's having with this other guy, then you will have gotten your shit together, so to speak, and you'll be ready for her because you've been practicing these techniques and you'll have some skills developed by then. So he says, since you don't know all there is to know about the both of us, you've told me enough here in this letter that I can tell. I mean, the bottom line is her interest level is real low, and so you shouldn't do anything with her. There's nothing to do to get her interest level back at that point. Is there an exception to the rules in your book concerning this? Just simply look at her actions. You look at what a woman does and not what she says, and obviously she's not calling you, she's not contacting you, you haven't talked to her in a month. So obviously she's having a really good time with this other guy. He says, I do want her back, but I'm not showing any signs of that to her. I'm being centered with myself and going about my life. Good. That's pretty much all you can do in this situation. Is this situation a lost cause? I would say for now it is. The best thing you can do is practice what I teach in my book on these new women. Start hooking up and having a good time with these other women, because it'll make it easy for you to forget about the ex-girlfriend, and then that way down the road, if things don't work out with this other guy, she may contact you, or she may not, because the other thing you got to keep in mind is that a lot of times when a woman has set up a replacement for you, and then she breaks up with you, and then all of a sudden she's in a relationship basically with this next guy, which seems like from one day to the next, it was just like flipping a switch. But she may have stayed with you to the point where, because some women will stay long past the interest level's gone below 50%. Maybe it's 30, 40% at that point. And then she has absolutely no respect for you, and she doesn't care about you at all in any way. And so if that's the case, if she's completely gotten over you and she doesn't think about you anymore, you will never hear from her again. But the thing you can do is just move forward, focus on yourself, focus on learning and applying what you've learned in my book, because you're going to start hooking up with other women. And one of two things is going to happen. You'll either get the ex back, or you're going to find a woman who's 100 times better looking and 100 times hotter and better suited for you. And plus, you'll get into the relationship doing everything right, because now you'll have the knowledge and the skills of having learned what will turn a woman on and what will turn her off. So this way, going forward, you only do everything right. So the way I look at it, either way, you either get the ex back or you get somebody better. So it's a win-win, dude. You can't go wrong. So if you find this message of value, you can show your appreciation by going down to the Would-Be toolbar, which is the bottom of your screen. If you're watching this video on my website, click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information in this video. At the very least, please share this page with all your friends and family by clicking any one of the social network sharing buttons, which are also located on the Would-Be toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And if you have a question that you'd like to ask me, or there's a topic that you'd like me to cover in a future video newsletter, click the Contact Me tab on the left-hand side of your screen and send me 3 or 4 paragraphs detailing your situation. And you just give me several days to get back to you with a response because I get a lot of email, and I obviously have to focus on my paying customers first. So be patient, I will get to you. But in the meantime, if you want to talk to me right away, you can book a paid phone coaching session with me personally by clicking the Products tab and just following the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.